Hola, soy la abogada Brittany James y estoy aquí para contestar todas sus preguntas en relación de inmigración. Si tienen algunas preguntas sobre inmigración, puede escribir sus preguntas aquí en los comentarios en TikTok, Facebook o Instagram y puedo contestar sus preguntas ahorita en vivo. Recuerda que en este tipo de situación puedo contestar solamente preguntas en generales. No puedo dar una opinión legal sobre qué debe hacer en su caso. Si quiere una opinión legal, tiene que llamarnos para programar una consulta conmigo donde podemos hablar en privado sobre toda su situación. Si quiere una consulta, puede llamarnos al 772-539-8400. Pero por sus preguntas en generales, puede escribir sus preguntas aquí en inglés o en español. If you have any immigration questions, you can write them in either English or Spanish, and I will answer them here on Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram, and I'll try to go back and forth to English and Spanish. Okay, Danielle Tanoti is asking, how long does it take for a brother's petition to go through usually? So that depends on what country you are from and what the visa bulletin shows that they are working on at the time. So for example, I will pull it up right now. So there is a special chart for Mexico, the Philippines, India, and China. And then there is a separate chart for all other countries. So for Mexico, they're working on petitions that were started back in 1998, the Philippines 2002, India 2005, and all other countries, they're working on petitions that were started back in October of 2006. So it does take quite a while when you are petitioning for a sibling. So my recommendation would be, of course, you can file the petition to at least have something started, but it's also a good idea to look at other options, especially if the person's here inside of the United States. Maybe there's a better option for them. Okay. So if you want to talk about that in more detail, then you can schedule a consultation and we can go over it and see if we can find any other options for them. Ok, tengo una pregunta aquí en Facebook de Yadan García. Dice, buenas tardes, yo envié un I-579 a USCIS y ya me mandó el I-797 con ese número de recibo. ¿Puedo sacar licencia? Ok, so Yadan, eso depende en dónde vive usted. So, por ejemplo, en Florida, yo sé que sí, con los recibos de la aplicación de asilo, del I-589, sí puede sacar la licencia con este recibo demostrando que migración tiene el caso en proceso. De otros estados, no sé, todo depende en las leyes del estado. Pero si está en Florida, sí, con ese recibo puede sacar la licencia aquí. Ok, ok, recuerda, sí, si tiene cualquier preguntas que tiene en relación de inmigración, puede escribirlos aquí en Facebook, TikTok o Instagram y puedo contestar sus preguntas ahorita en vivo. También si quiere tener una consulta conmigo en privado, debe llamarnos al 772-539-8400. Tengo a alguien disponible ahorita para contestar el teléfono si quiere programar una cita. Y por la consulta conmigo, si hay un costo por eso, nosotros cobramos 200 por la consulta y en la consulta revisamos toda su historia de inmigración, casi toda su vida, pero ver cuáles opciones tiene para revisar toda su situación. Ok, so si quiere una consulta, sí puede llamarnos, pero si no, puede poner sus preguntas en generales aquí y puedo contestar sus preguntas aquí en vivo. Ok, Yadan García, yo veo su otra nota aquí en Facebook que usted está en Florida. Sí, con el recibo de la aplicación de asilo, sí puede sacarle licencia, no hay ningún problema con eso. Ok, va a necesitar eso y con su pasaporte vigente o algún tipo de identificación vigente con su foto. Y cualquier otras cosas que a la oficina de licencias piden, como prueba de su dirección, y eso, pero por razones de inmigración, si ese recibo de la aplicación de asilo, si eso funciona por la licencia. Ok, y tengo unas preguntas en TikTok en inglés, voy a contestar esos en inglés, pero puede poner preguntas en inglés o en español, en cualquiera de los dos. All right, Rosa Cotto Macias is asking on TikTok, can a permanent resident ask for his mother for a tourist visa? How does it work? So a tourist visa technically does not need a petitioner, but a permanent resident could give his mother a letter saying that he wants her to come and visit him and that he would be able to cover her housing and expenses while she's here. As far as whether that would work or not, it really depends on a lot of other factors. Tourist visas are highly discretionary. It all depends on the consular officer and what they decide on that day. So really, she would need to show what her ties are to her home country, as well as what she's going to be doing when she comes here. And they may or may not issue her the visa, but technically there's no petitioner required. Okay, my Bernice in TikTok is asking if my dad was deported and I asked for his forgiveness, what rules apply if he gets a visa again? Okay, he was deported for selling drugs. He was going to be almost 10 years deported. Okay, so if your father was deported for a conviction related to drugs, then it will be very, very difficult for him to ever come back to the United States. There are only very limited exceptions to inadmissibility for drug offenses. So I would recommend that you schedule a consultation with an attorney. You can schedule a consultation with me if you want, and I can review all the documents related to his conviction, all his previous immigration records, and see if we can find a solution for him. But it is not going to be an easy road to get him back if he was deported for a drug offense. Okay. All right, Susu on TikTok is asking, does my husband have to stay in America to get his green card? So that all depends on what type of case he is filing. I would need to know a lot more information. So if you want, you can call me and schedule a consultation. We can review his case and see what options he has. Again, our phone number to schedule a consultation is 772-539-8400. All right, and White Rose on Instagram says, when I have the interview, the officer asked when you became a permanent resident. Does that mean when I arrived to the U.S. as a legal resident or when I received my green card? How do I answer that question? So if they're asking when you became a permanent resident, then they're likely referring to when you became a legal permanent resident of the United States. So that would be the date on your green card that your residence started, not just the date that you arrived in the U.S. If you previously arrived as a visitor or in another type of status, it would be based on the date that you became a legal permanent resident. Now, if you came in on an immigrant visa, then even though you hadn't received your green card as of the day that you entered, the date that you became a resident should be the date that you actually entered, and that should be the date that shows on your resident card. But yes, that should be the date that they are referring to. All right, Julissa Garcia in TikTok is asking, have you heard of any updates on the current DACA ruling in Texas in regards to removing DACA? I have not heard of anything else regarding DACA. As of right now, DACA remains as is. They are accepting new DACA applications. The judge in Texas, as far as I'm aware, has not made any type of ruling. So anyone who qualifies for DACA that has not applied before, yes, you can apply. They're accepting new applications. We have been sending lots of new applications for people that did not know that they qualified before and that they qualify now. So just to review the DACA qualifications, you have to show that you entered the United States prior to June 15, 2007, that you were under 16 at the time of entry, that you were born after June 15, 1981, and that you've been in the United States since June 15, 2007 up to now, and that you don't have any disqualifying criminal offenses, and that you either graduated from school or are currently in school. And the school requirement can also be that you're currently in English classes or classes to prepare for a GED exam. Those things qualify as well. Okay. All right, and Kim is asking, I submitted my N-400 last year in April. Any idea how long it might take? So this depends a lot on your local office. There are some local offices that may take 9 to 12 months for citizenship. There's some that may be a little bit faster. There's some that are taking longer. I would recommend that you go to the USCIS website and look at the processing times for your local office, and at least that will give you an idea of how long it may take to get the interview. And quiero quiero decir también en español ahorita, sí, yo sé que estoy contestando dos preguntas ahorita en inglés, pero también si tiene preguntas en español, puede escribir sus preguntas en español aquí también y puedo contestarlos, ¿ok? Puedo contestar las preguntas en los dos idiomas. Okay, Susu is asking how much is a consultation? Yes, so we charge $200 for the consultation. And if you do decide to open a case and hire me to represent you, then that would be discounted from the legal fees on the case. And that fee does have to be paid at the time of booking to reserve your appointment time with me. But then, yes, you would get a credit on that if you decide to open a case and decide for us to help you. Okay, Yadan García en Facebook está diciendo, mi esposa también con ese recibo lo puede hacer, aplicamos los dos en la misma forma, puedo también sacar Social Security. Sí, con la aplicación con el recibo de la aplicación de asilo, sí, los dos deben tener el derecho de sacar la licencia. Por el Seguro Social, tiene que tener el permiso de trabajo, ok. Por esa parte sí tiene que esperar hasta que está elegible para aplicar por el permiso de trabajo y cuando el permiso de trabajo está aprobado, también aprueben el seguro social y pueden mandar la tarjeta del número de seguro social, ok. Y Ok, y yo sé que yo dijo eso, pero quiero explicar de nuevo que recuerda, en ese tipo de situación, cuando estoy hablando en vivo, puedo contestar preguntas en general sobre inmigración y dar información sobre inmigración, pero por una opinión legal sobre qué debe hacer en su caso, tiene que programar una consulta conmigo, porque en ese tipo de situación no puedo hacer todas las preguntas que tengo que hacer para asegurar cuál es la mejor forma de arreglar o de seguir con su caso de inmigración. Okay, por una opinión legal sobre qué debe hacer en su situación, tiene que programar una consulta donde podemos hablar en privado y normalmente la consulta tarda más de 1 hora o 2 horas verificando toda su situación para ver cuál es la mejor forma de hacer algo con inmigración. Pero por sus preguntas en generales, sí, puedo dar información aquí, puedo contestar sus preguntas en generales aquí, en vivo, en Facebook, TikTok, en Instagram. Y, y otra cosa que quiero explicar. Hace unos meses, creo que era en octubre, Inmigración cambió el examen por la aplicación de la ciudadanía. Y yo sé que yo hice un video en TikTok y muchas personas estaban haciendo preguntas sobre eso, estaban preocupados que el examen sería más difícil porque en vez de estudiar 100 preguntas tenía que estudiar 128 preguntas. En vez de, tenía que estudiar 128 preguntas y en vez de tener que contestar 6 de 10 preguntas correctas, tenía que contestar 12 de 20 preguntas correctas. Pero Inmigración acabo de anunciar, creo que la semana pasada, que empezando el 1 de marzo, empezó ahorita, están regresando al examen viejo de la ciudadanía. Por personas que están aplicando ahorita, si va a tener el examen viejo, tiene que estudiar los 100 preguntas, no tiene que estudiar todos los 128 preguntas, o si va a ser un poquito más fácil ahorita. Eso sí es algo nuevo que el presidente Biden ha hecho en la nueva administración para ayudar a personas que califiquen para hacer la ciudadanía, para hacer más fácil por ellos. Okay. White Rose has a question on Instagram. She says, I have 2 aunts outside the U.S. and they used to live with us and they don't have husbands or children. Also, they're over 50. How can they come to the U.S. and what is the process? All right, so if your parents who are siblings to your aunts, if your parents are U.S. citizens, then they could file petitions for them. But depending on what country they're from, it could take a very long time for them to come. Now, and if that's what you're referring to, for them to come with their residency. Now, as far as applying for a visitor visa, that would be something they could possibly try. But I will say that it can be difficult to obtain visitor visas, especially if they had previously been in the United States without documents. But if you want to talk about it more and talk about the options more, then I would suggest that you schedule a consultation and we can review everything regarding their entries, what type of status they had before, and also talk about the chances of them getting visas and how long it would take also for the residency process, and whether we can find some other options other than your parents filing for them. Okay, and again, our phone number, if you want to schedule a consultation, is 772-539-8400. Okay, Liz Vega in Instagram says, Visa K1, I received travel document and employment authorization on June 2020. I haven't received my appointment for adjustment of status. When do you think I'll get it? This depends on a few things. It depends on your local office and what their processing times are. But also sometimes when people come on a K1 visa and apply for adjustment of status, sometimes the interview is waived and they do not schedule an interview. It just depends on your local office and also on what documentation was submitted with your application. They could decide to waive your interview. But as far as a time frame for when they'll actually process the application, that is all going to depend on your local office. If you go to the USCIS website, you can check the processing times for each office for the I-45 application, and you can see what your local office's estimated processing times are right now, what the average is. Okay. All right. And again, if anyone else has any immigration questions, you can write your questions here in either English or Spanish, and I can answer them live. But of course, like I had explained, if you want a legal opinion about what you should do in your case, then it's best that you call and schedule a consultation with me so that we can talk in private regarding all of the details of your situation and really explore what the best options are for you. Again, our phone number is 772-539-8400, and I'm going to explain that in Spanish as well. So, si tienen algunas preguntas sobre inmigración, puede poner sus preguntas aquí en los comentarios en Facebook, TikTok o Instagram, y puedo contestar sus preguntas ahorita en vivo, pero recuerda que si quiere una opinión legal sobre qué usted debe hacer en su caso, tiene que programar una consulta conmigo donde podemos hablar en privado sobre toda su situación y puedo dar mi opinión sobre cuál es la mejor forma de seguir con su caso de inmigración. Pero por preguntas en generales, si puede escribir sus preguntas aquí y puedo contestar sus preguntas ahorita en vivo. También si hay algún tema que quiere escuchar más información, pero no tiene una pregunta específica, puede poner eso también en los comentarios y puedo dar más información y hablar sobre los temas que ustedes quieren escuchar más información, ¿ok? All right, Sophia Espinosa on TikTok says, I'm married to a veteran. Do they still send me to Mexico for the interview? So Sophia, to give you an answer regarding your particular case, I would need to talk to you more in a consultation to go over all of the details. But in general, if someone is married to someone that's in the military or a veteran of the military, if you entered without inspection, let's say only one time, and now you are married to someone in the military or a veteran, then you would qualify, assuming you don't have any other negative factors, you would qualify to apply for what's called parole in place, which gives you protection from removal and also a work authorization for 1 year. And that parole in place, because then you would be able to demonstrate that you had been paroled, then you would be able to apply for adjustment of status here because you would have the proof that you have been paroled, which is basically the equivalent of a legal entry, together with the I-130 petition from your spouse, and you would not have to leave the United States for the interview. But to tell you for sure for your specific situation, it would be best that you schedule a consultation so that we can go over everything, make sure that you don't have anything else that would prevent you from filing for that process. But it is very possible that you may not have to go to Mexico for your interview. Maria Catalan on TikTok is asking, has the Juarez consulate opened yet? Yes, the U.S. Embassy in Ciudad Juarez, Mexico is open, and they are scheduling interviews. The last couple interviews that I've scheduled that I've had scheduled there were interviews that had been previously scheduled last year and have been canceled when the embassy closed. So they're working through rescheduling all of those interviews, and then they will continue from there with interviews for immediate relatives or spouses of U.S. citizens, and continuing on trying to get through their list. But I will say that they have been working on cases that were documentarily qualified with the National Visa Center since around May of 2019, I believe, is the last date that I was aware of that they were working on. So it is taking quite a while. For anyone who is in that line, basically waiting for an interview in Ciudad Juarez, I mean, of course, you can wait for your interview, or you could also schedule an appointment with an attorney, review your case, see if there's any other options that you have here instead of having to go to that interview abroad, especially with how long they're taking. There's some cases where, yes, we can find a solution to file here, but it all depends on the facts of your case. All right, Nikki Collins post on Instagram. She says, my mother came into this country in 1988. She came illegally through the border. Me and my brother were born in Florida. I'm 31 and my brother is 24. Is there any way she can get her residency? And what if one of us joined the Army next year? Can she get it? All right, so Nikki, to really confirm what your mother would be able to do, I would need to know some more information from her. But in general, if someone enters the U.S. illegally and they have children here who are over 21, sometimes there are some options where they could apply for the residency if they could show that they suffered from some type of abuse or cruelty from their children. And that could have even been, when you were growing up, when you were teenagers, if you mistreated your mother or threatened her in any way. But also, if she had a petition before 2001, that could help her. And yes, what you had mentioned here, if she joins the military, if one of you joins the military, that typically does help a parent who entered illegally only one time. If one of their children joins the military, and they can apply for what's called parole in place and show they have the parole, and then together with a petition from their child, they could adjust status. But I don't want to say 100% whether that would help your mother or not without knowing some more information about her. So if you want to schedule a consultation, we can review her case and make sure that she would qualify and that would work. Again, our phone number is 772-539-8400. But based on what you're saying, it sounds like we would be able to help her, but I would just want to confirm some more information before I told you for sure. All right, and another question here on TikTok. It says, I have a question. My husband reapplied for his green card in January. Is it going to last long? So if you are talking about a green card renewal, an I-90 application, those are taking a very long time. In most cases, they've been taking around a year, sometimes longer. I will say I've seen some cases getting approved a little bit quicker in just a few months. But it really depends on immigration, I think, and on who's looking at the case. But it can take quite a while. And if the card, and if the card is expired already, or if it's going to expire, if he needs proof of his residency while the I-90 application is pending, then you can contact USCIS and schedule an appointment at the local USCIS office, and they can actually put a stamp in his passport as temporary proof of his residency that he can use for anything that he needs it for. But otherwise, of course, even with the expired card, with the pending I-90, he's still a resident. It's just he does not have, he will not have the valid proof once the card expires. So he could always make that appointment at the local office to get that proof. All right, Maria Catalan says, I applied for my green card through my husband. I currently have DACA. Is there any way I wouldn't have to leave to Juarez? So again, I can't tell you for sure about your particular case without asking a lot more questions that I really can't ask in this type of situation. But in general, if someone has DACA and assuming that they have no other issues and no other inadmissibility, then you could possibly apply for advanced parole to be able to travel. For advanced parole, you have to show that you have either an educational, employment, or humanitarian reason to travel. What I will say is one of the most common reasons that most people request advance parole to travel with when they have DACA is if you have family members in your home country that are sick that you want to go see or care for, or elderly grandparents that you want to see that are sick, and you can demonstrate that proof to immigration through medical records, a letter from them, and request that you be able to travel to visit with them and to help them. So if you were able to apply for that advance parole, travel and come back, then that would give you a legal entry, a paroled entry. And as long as you don't have any other inadmissibility issues, then you could potentially apply for your residency here without having to leave to Juarez. But in order to tell you for sure, Maria, in your specific case, I would really need to have a consultation with you because there's a lot of questions that I have to ask, admissibility issues to make sure that you would not have any issues and that you would qualify for adjustment of status. So if you want to do that, then you can call and schedule a consultation with me, and I'd be happy to talk to you and review everything. And again, our phone number to schedule a consultation is 772-539-8400. And I do charge for the consultation. The consultation is $200, but if you decide to open a case and hire me to represent you, then that would be discounted off of the legal fees in the case. Okay. All right, and I do have my staff available now answering the phone. So if anyone knows that they want to schedule a consultation, you can even call now, and I have someone available to answer the calls to schedule an appointment. And again, as I was saying, for any general immigration questions, you can write them here in the comments on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. But if you want a legal opinion about what you should do in your case, it's best that you call and schedule a consultation with me so that we can review everything and I can really make sure that you qualify for what you want to apply for, or to review all of your options and give you the best option that would help you. And you can write your questions in either English or Spanish, and I can answer in either language. And I'm going to explain this in Spanish really quick again too. So si tienen algunas preguntas al generales de inmigración, puede escribir sus preguntas aquí en los comentarios en Facebook, TikTok o Instagram, y puede poner sus preguntas en español o en inglés, y puedo contestar en cualquiera de los dos idiomas. Pero recuerda que si quiere una opinión legal sobre qué debe hacer en su caso, tiene que llamarnos para programar una consulta donde podemos hablar en privado sobre toda su situación, todo su historial con inmigración y en su vida, para ver cuál es la mejor forma de arreglar, y también para ver si califica por lo que quiere aplicar. Nuestro teléfono para programar la consulta es 772-539-8400. Y si cobramos $200 por la consulta, pero si decide de abrir un caso con nosotros y contactarme para representarle en su caso, eso cuenta como un descuento contra los salarios legales en el caso. Okay. All right, I have a question here on Instagram from Stanley. Can you get back to status if losing it after 4 years as a student? So Stanley, I would need to know a lot more about your situation to see what we could do. In some cases, if someone falls out of status, yes, they can try to do something, but it really depends on the details of your case. So that's something that would be best to schedule a consultation to review everything and see what options you have available to you. All right, and again, as I had explained earlier, even if you don't have a specific question, if there's any type of any immigration topic that you want to know more information about, you can also write that in the comments, and I can explain more and give you some more information. And I'm going to explain that in Spanish briefly. So, también si no tiene una pregunta específica, si hay algún tema de inmigración que quiere escuchar más información, puede poner eso también aquí en los comentarios y puedo explicar más información sobre cualquier tema de inmigración. Okay. All right, and I have a question here from Maricela Hernandez 345 on TikTok. Says, what does TPS include? So I'm not 100% sure what you're referring to as far as your question. If you're referring to what benefits TPS provides, um, when someone qualifies for TPS, they would get protection from deportation and a work authorization. And also, people with TPS can apply for advanced parole to be able to travel outside of the United States and be paroled back in. Now, I will say something regarding the advanced parole. A lot of people would apply for advanced parole in the past to be able to get a legal entry that would help them in the future for applying for adjustment of status. But unfortunately, the rules were recently changed with TPS to specify that anyone traveling on advanced parole through TPS after, I believe it was August of 2020, that parole entry would not count as parole for purposes of applying for adjustment of status. And this is because of a complicated legality in the statutes regarding TPS and advanced parole that says that when someone travels on advanced parole with TPS and re-enters the country, that they go back to the same status that they had prior to their travel. So if the person entered without inspection and has TPS, then they would basically go back to that same status, and they would not be able to apply for adjustment of status based on that paroled entry unless they had already qualified otherwise. There are some states that or there's some jurisdictions in the United States where the TPS grant itself counts as an admission, which could count for adjustment of status purposes, but not all states have that possibility because that was based on circuit court decisions, and not all of the states were included in those decisions. All right. Vivian is amazing, is asking who can apply for advanced parole. As far as applying for advanced parole, I mean, there are lots of different categories of people that can apply for advanced parole. For example, people that have TPS can apply for advanced parole. Anyone with DACA can apply for advanced parole as long as they show that they meet one of the requirements, that it's either that they want to travel for educational, humanitarian, or employment purposes. Also, many times when people are applying for adjustment of status, they can also apply for advanced parole as part of their adjustment of status application, so that they can travel while their application is pending. Because otherwise, if someone has an application for adjustment of status pending and they leave the United States without obtaining advanced parole, then they would be abandoning their application. So there are several different types of ways that people can apply for advanced parole. It just depends on their situation. You're welcome, Vivian. And let's see. All right, and High Roller is asking, any good news from the Biden administration that has been implemented? So the Biden administration has made it very clear that they are working on several different things, basically reviewing the whole immigration system, trying to make as many adjustments as they can make as an administration, aside from the immigration reform bill that has been presented to Congress. But I will say, as far as the immigration reform bill, we have no idea how long that's going to take. It will likely take quite a while by the time they negotiate and debate and determine what's going to be the actual version of the bill that they vote on. But aside from that bill, of course, the Biden administration issued the 100-day moratorium on deportation. Unfortunately, that was enjoined by a court order, but within that memorandum, there was a lot of information about things that they're trying to do, such as reviewing ways to make it easier to reopen and rescind deportation orders, to administratively close cases. There was a lot of very good information in that executive order that gives us a lot of hope that they're trying to work on a lot of changes. Biden has also rescinded the Muslim ban and they have directed immigration to review some things regarding other issues related to Muslims, where they had been trying to put a lot of people into administrative processing, even if they weren't subject to an official ban. So that is a change that we're looking forward to happening. Also, they recently changed the citizenship exam back to the old rules. That was something that I had mentioned. So I know that there's a lot of things in the works still. But given that he's only been the president for about 6 weeks, and we've been in the middle of a pandemic, which is definitely taking up a lot of the government's time and resources. I think that they're doing a pretty good job so far, showing that they're trying to work for people and trying to make some good changes. But I think for any substantive changes to the law and a reform, we're going to have to wait and see. I know that they want it to happen, but we'll have to see what happens in Congress. It is not that easy to get things passed, especially given that we have that it's basically 50-50 in the Senate with Kamala Harris as the tiebreaker. It's going to be very difficult for them to pass any type of major immigration reform. All right, and Maricela Hernandez, yes, so that was exactly what I was just talking about. She says, do you have an estimate of how long the Biden administration will take for the immigration program? So I think you must be referring to some type of major immigration reform. And it's so hard to say because it's going to depend on Congress and when Congress actually gets to the point of reviewing the bill and talking about it and negotiating. So I don't know how long that's going to take, unfortunately. Now, I don't know if he's going to try to do any other executive actions similar to what they have done with DACA. We'll have to wait and see. I don't know if maybe he's waiting first to see what happens with the reform bill before he tries to pass too many major substantive changes on his own. But as soon as I have any information about what's going on, I will make sure that I share that with everyone. But I really don't have a time estimate right now. So I would say, I know a lot of people are saying that they want to wait and see what he's going to do. I don't think that that's necessarily a good idea because we don't know how long it will be. We've been hoping that there was going to be reform when Biden was around. And yes, they did implement DACA, which was a major advancement, a major improvement. But we don't know what's going to happen. I am optimistic that we're going to see a lot of very good things. I don't know about the actual reform, whether it's going to happen or not, but we will wait and see. And I will share that information as soon as I have it. But for anyone that's thinking about what they should do, I would definitely recommend consulting with an attorney now. Don't wait for the reform that may or may not come. You may have options available to you now that you don't know about or that you never knew about before. So I would definitely recommend scheduling a consultation. And then if there are no options now, then at least that attorney that you meet with, whether it's me or another attorney, will already have your information and already have you in mind if there's any type of new program that you may qualify for. Okay, so I do not agree with people waiting around to see when the reform is going to be coming. There's been a lot of people waiting for many, many years hoping that there's going to be a reform, but you may have options available now. And you may have options actually that are better than anything that could come in the future that will get you some type of status faster, to get you a license and a work authorization and get things moving. So I do not recommend waiting. Okay, and I think that's going to be everything for tonight. As always, if you want to schedule a consultation with me, if you want a legal opinion about your case, you can call and schedule a consultation. Our phone number is 772-539-8400. But for any of your general immigration questions, you can always come on when I'm live and ask your questions, or also on Facebook or TikTok or Instagram. You can also comment on our post and we can try to get back to you, but if not, when I'm live, you can come on and ask any of your immigration questions. I'm going to explain that in Spanish now as well. Okay, eso va a ser todo para hoy. Pero siempre y cuando esté en vivo puede venir y hacer sus preguntas sobre inmigración en general, pero si quiere una consulta por una opinión legal sobre qué debe hacer en su caso, debe llamarnos para programar una cita conmigo, donde podemos hablar en privado sobre toda su situación y ver cuáles acciones tiene. Nuestro número de teléfono es 772-539-8400. Ok, tenga buena noche y voy a ver ustedes la próxima semana.